Would that have been a cool name? Do you think that would have been a cool name? No, it wouldn't have been a cool name. So I avoided it. Always signed my name James E. Barbush. Never said James Eugene. Well, here's what I found out. And I only found this out at about the age of 57. I'm 62 now. About 5 years ago. And I looked up the meaning of Eugene. And this is what I found out. EU has something to do with of, being part of. Gene has to do with genes, genetics, genealogy. So Eugene, to me, says it's about the generations. I'm like, wow. And then it hit me. Guess who keeps the genealogy in my family? You think it's my brother Richard? Lawrence? No. You think it's my brother Buddy, whose name is Albert Francis Jr.? No. It's James Eugene. So Eugene is who I am. I am about the generations. So why am I so driven? Why do I have that particular passion? I don't do a lot of being driven. I don't mean I do a lot of work on it, but I keep the genealogy, which my dad did back in the 60s and 70s, and he typed it out with the ruler making lines, and he literally typed it out. 6 pages of genealogy back to the 1800s, where the Barbuccios came from Italy. My German heritage is my grandmother's side. So I am Eugene. So what about you? What about your name? And I know Christopher. What does Christopher mean? Christopher, he said something of Christ, and he's right. Christopher means bearer of Christ. So why did Christopher Columbus go to his, whoever it was, the king or the queen, and say, I want some money to go discover this land. I want some money to go to this place. And he was on a mission, whatever that mission was. Could it have been Christopher, bearer of Christ, and he brought the message of Christianity to this land? So what came first, the identity or the passion? Or the identity or the task? Christopher sailed the seas and found the land. David. Do you know what David means? No. I'd have to look that one up. But I know this. David is the name of a king. King David. Now we'd have to look up and find out what David really means. Now, here's the kicker. Do you identify with what your name means? Not to say, oh, I'm David, and David was a king, and therefore I'm going to have all this authority to do whatever I want. No. But it's to understand that even though I am not King David of the Bible, who was king of a nation, but I am David of the 21st century, and I do have authority. Am I exercising that authority? And it's not a conceited recognition. It's a recognition of who I am and what I am about. And David is a leader. And I know Dave Romeo, he leads people. He mentors people. He speaks. He teaches people. He's a leader. He has a lot of influence, in a sense, like a king would. So are we living out? Are we living out who we are and what we are about? And it takes some discovery. I'll give you another story about identity. Sitting in the family room about, this would have been, I was 50 years old, 12 years ago. My son Joseph, 12 years ago, he's 23, so that makes him 11. At the time, we had taken care of my mother. She was in our house. We were taking care of her. We brought all her things to our house. Joseph, being the inquisitive guy that he is and was as a child, he went up and found the family Bible up there, my mom's family Bible. He brought it down and he showed it to me. And in that Bible, I looked in there and I saw the genealogy. And the genealogy said, of course, my father, Albert Barbush, my mother, Mary Cirillo, but my father's mother, Elizabeth, married a Barbush, but her name was Walmer. All they ever told me about Elizabeth Walmer, my grandmother, which we called her Mom, was that she was Irish. Well, I come to discover she wasn't even Irish. So I found out that her parents were named Israel and Johanna Walmer. I'm like, Israel? Wow, what a name that is. Israel and Johanna Walmer. Significant name for me. Significant biblical name. So I went on the internet and found a Walmer site. I found a lady who searched out all the Walmers. I sent her a message. I told her who I was. I told her who my grandmother was. Inside of 3 weeks, she presented me with my entire genealogy back to Peter Walmer, who came from Germany, landed in Lewes, Delaware in 1741, went up to Philadelphia, got sworn in, came up to Lancaster, bought some land, sold that land and bought some more land. And as a matter of fact, he bought land from either probably descendants of Penn, William Penn. This was before 1776, the founding of the country. Bought some more land in Lancaster, a couple of hundred acres, raised a family, a bunch of kids. He built a church, which still operates today. Peter Walmer sailed with an ancestor of Dwight D. Eisenhower. He sailed with Johannes Eisenhower. I think Johannes, they've got the lists of all the ship's passengers. Peter was a kid, he was 21. Got in a little wooden boat and sailed the seas because he was on a mission. What was that mission? Peter means rock. Peter means small stone. Peter, I keep going back to biblical things, and of course my intent here is not to teach biblical principles, but Peter in the Bible is Peter, small rock. Jesus said he was the rock, he was the small rock. Peter was a founder in the church. Peter built a church, which still operates today, over 250 years later, called Salem Walmers Union Church. I go to this church and I meet my cousin, Jimmy Ditzler, who has since passed away. My same age, 10th generation descendant of Peter Walmer. I'm also 10th generation descendant of Peter Walmer. What's all that mean? And I learned this at the age of 50. Now, it was handed to me. I stumbled upon it. Of course, Dave has a book. Is that part of Stumbling to Success? That's the title of his book, Stumbling to Success. So I discovered this genealogy, which has tremendous meaning to me and gives me tremendous life. And it's part of finding out who we are and what we are about. Now, my great-grandfather, Israel, talking to my aunts, who have all passed away but one, he was not a good character. He did some pretty rough things. And you can't even find his gravestone today. Because if you go from Salem Walmers Union Church, which is out on 22, right next to the Gap, you travel 22 towards Harrisburg, you stop in all the churches, there's Walmers buried in every church. You get to Harrisburg, and all of a sudden, it's like the Walmers disappear in a sense. I can't even find my great-grandfather's tombstone. I can find the area. What does that mean something? It might mean he lost it all. Peter, where's my prosperity? Peter had 200 acres, 8 kids. Peter was a wealthy guy. Somehow, by the time he got to Israel, it was all gone. But also somehow, my grandmother, Barbush, who was Elizabeth Walmer, turned it around. She became an entrepreneur. She owned land. Her husband started Penn Harris Taxi, which was a huge business in town. They sold crab cakes and served every restaurant in the area. Mom Barbush had land. She gave it to her sons. build houses. My father got a lot, my Uncle Billy got a lot, my Aunt Dolores got a lot. Around the corner from that was my Uncle Charlie, and we all lived in the same block. All our yards connected in the back. So what's all that mean to me? And I stumbled onto it, so to speak, or was led to it. It's about who I am and what I'm about and why I do what I do. So I ask you, have you thought about this for yourself? Have you dug deep enough, taken time to think? You might not have your genealogy. That might not be the thing in your life that gets you targeted on who you are and what you're about. But you have some other things which we're going to talk about. So with that as a basis, the profile that we're going to talk about is what I've experienced over the last few decades that helps me get through life, that encourages me, that strengthens me, that builds me. And I want to give you ideas as to how I do that, and then also how I convey that to others. So let's look at some PowerPoint here. Let's just touch on Barbush Enterprises. David gave an intro. Our motto in Barbush Enterprises is to build leaders for today's success. Our objective is building people into leaders they are destined to be. You are destined to be something beyond your wildest imagination and reality. You too, and you too. And what we offer is guaranteed to inspire leaders, management, project teams, and thus motivate them in ways to boost their proven success. And let's touch on a word there, inspire. What does inspire mean to you?
To bring forth.
To bring forth.
Basically,
okay. When I started Barbush Enterprises, I had the words inspiration, motivation, and something else. And I figured, what does inspiration and motivation really mean? Well, we use these words so loosely. And I read a book, and I only read chapter 1 at the time, Inspiring Others to Win. And this was roughly a year and a half ago or more, in about November of 2009, I think it was, or November of 10, somewhere around there. And he said in this guy was a speaker, he said, I don't motivate people. He said, I inspire people so that they can become motivated. So I said, okay, that's a distinction. So I looked up, what does inspire mean? Inspire means to breathe life into. Like, wow. You give me words like life. Aren't we attracted to life? we might cling to life. We're attracted to life. We want life. We want to give life. We want to make people feel alive, not like they're dying or dead. To breathe life into. That is inspiration. If I can say something to you that's going to breathe life into you, that's going to cause you to become motivated to go do what you need to do. I'm not going to motivate you. Who was it? It was John Maxwell. I don't motivate people. He says, I'm done doing that. Pat you on the back, get you up in the morning and say, hey, how are you? Go off and have a good day, be motivated, do your work. No. It's about inspiration. So inspiration is a cause of motivation. So the goal here today is to inspire you, to breathe life into you so that you're going to be motivated to go do what you need to do, whether it's seminars and coaching, or whether it's IT, computer preparation, or whether it's being a videographer, a photographer, whatever that is. And also be motivated to go do a little assessment of yourself. Who are you? What are you? Why are you doing what you're doing? And of course, in all of that, you catch your wave. My tagline is catch your wave. Ride or wave to a transformed atmosphere and do something different. I see it as a wave, so I'll have a picture of myself on a surfboard. I want to ride the wave. I want to be on the front edge of that wave. That's my picture of success in a sense, to ride that wave to the next thing. And Peter Walmer took that wave to the next country, in his case. Dividends. So what do? Well, I invest in people. I invest in people so that they can understand who they are and what they are about. Invest. Investments like these. In advertising this seminar, I put out one notice. I said, anybody that contacts me in 48 hours to register for this seminar gets these books. Living to Win. John C. Maxwell, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leaders. Lewis Timberlake, It's Always Too Soon to Quit. Ever been there, want to give up? Success Secrets for Superachievers, Jim Stovall. Dave read it, said it's a great book. And of course, just tied in with It's Always Too Soon to Quit, The Paterno Legacy. The guy didn't quit. The guy didn't quit ever. He went right to the end and kept on going. So I said, these 5 books, to anybody who signs up, and one guy did. Chris, I don't even know if you saw that ad, but he signed up in that time frame, so you get these books to do with what you want. That's an investment. This is an investment in you. That's an investment in him. Reading is so important. We got to read. We got to put things in here so that we can have things come out. If we don't put things in here, nothing's going to come out that's worth anything. Nothing is going to inspire you so that you can be motivated to go do what you need to do. Whether we read a book, whether we read a paragraph out of a book, whether we read a blog, whatever we read, whether we go to a seminar, whether we watch a video, whether we're just talking to somebody, we got to put things in here so that good things come out.